Welcome back to the Difference Engine podcast. I'm your host, Caleb Oakes. There is a trait that I think is the single defining trait that determines if somebody grows or stays stuck for years. And I don't really hear this talked about very often. It's not on social media. I don't hear from any of the gurus. It's very quiet on this topic. It's not intelligence. It's not charisma. It's not ability to network. It's not even discipline. One defining trait of a human being is their ability to be coached. And when I say ability, I really mean willingness to be coached. And it really functions in two parts in my mind. There's an internal part, which is reconciling to self. It's humility. And I don't mean self-deprecating. I mean humility. And that comes from the reality of looking at yourself in your life and saying, is this everything that I want? Am I totally satisfied? Do I want nothing else? I've never met that person. Maybe you're totally satisfied. If you were, though, I doubt you'd be listening to this. Or you say, there's something I want. How do I get it? I have to learn how to achieve that thing. Anything you don't have is just a knowledge deficit. It's a knowledge deficit of how to acquire it. And everything we've learned in life is learned from another human being, whether that's a textbook or YouTube. Some people may discover things on their own, completely isolated, I suppose, but I think that would be the outlier rather than the rule. For instance, there's really no self-made millionaire. That's kind of a misnomer there. So when you're looking at a deficit of knowledge, I don't have everything that I want in life. So what do I need to do? I need to go get that knowledge. Where do I get it from other people who have it, who've done it? That's YouTube, textbooks, college professors, hiring a coach, hiring a consultant, hiring a CFO, whatever the case is. It's bringing in another person who has the knowledge you want and then learning it from them. That is, as far as coaching goes, in my opinion, the definition of humility. It's saying, I don't have this and I don't know this, but I'm willing to go find somebody who does and then listen to them over my own opinions, because my own opinions have got me to X result so far and I don't want X result anymore. It's pretty simple. The other piece of it is accountability. This is tougher for people. It's tougher because being coachable is a weird trait in that most people think they have it and very few people do. It's a very easy trait to persuade yourself you possess when you don't. And the way to tell if you have it or not is to look at your life and to ask yourself, how many people and where are they, who are they, that have the ability and permission to speak into my life about the things I'm trying to achieve. That could be financial goals. It could be lifestyle goals. It could be health goals. It could be relationships. It could be belief systems or faith. And if you have nobody who functions in that role for you, maybe lack accountability or lack desire to accomplish any of those things. And so your goals are fuzzy enough that no one could hold you accountable to them anyway. Like, I'm going to get healthier. Can't even be held accountable to that. Can't even be checked on that, because what does that mean? And who's going to hold you accountable to that? There's nothing specific enough about it that anyone could say, are you tracking on that? Well, who knows? So if there's no humility, that is learning from somebody else, and no accountability, meaning that when they point something out that's hard or off track, you respond to it by accepting the feedback and then altering behavior. That's what accountability is hearing in a different way, maybe one that you don't even agree with, and then trying it anyway, moving along with it anyway, in a long enough period of time that you can tell if it actually works or not. Because what I see a lot of people do potentially too is try, give up before you really get the result, and then say, oh, that didn't work for me. Well, no, of course, it doesn't work for anybody in that short timeline, or doesn't work with anybody. The bigger thing behind coaching, which is a really tough part, is discipline is kind of an attitude, but it's kind of tied to function of personality motivation too, right? Discipline is interesting and that it gets momentum the more you do it. Coaching doesn't necessarily. Coaching might, depending on who you are, might be hard for you every single time. I do think it gets easier though as you go on in life. I do think it gets easier as you realize that there are people you can trust, but it can be difficult if there's hard relationships too. And people are affected differently by different coaching styles. So it's important to know when you have someone who's a mentor in your life, how do they talk? What is their personality? Um, do you need somebody who is a little tougher, or do you want somebody who sits through and thinks everything through logically and then leads you to a conclusion that causes you to want to go do the advice they were going to get you to anyway? So it's a very tricky thing. It's very nuanced. The other way to know that if you don't accept accountability, don't accept coaching in your life is everything becomes defensive. If it's hard to take feedback because it reflects on you personally, you feel. And that is a tough one to deal with because it usually hits on some core nerve or some um, deeper wound that is, you have to really trust your mentor to work through that. So the bottom line is if you can't receive instruction, though, if you can't receive feedback from a coach, if you can't watch your own game tape of life back in front of your eyes without cringing or getting up and walking away, it's very, very difficult to ever spot blind spots. It's very, very difficult ever to progress in knowledge. And what I see with a lot of high achievers, high income earners, is they have a aggressive habit of finding people who know more than them or having things in their personality or repertoire that that person does not have. And they put themselves in proximity to them and gain that from watching them, from learning from them, from um, letting the behaviors wear off on them, etc. So if you have any questions on this or want to chat, my handle is the difference engine on all platforms. There is no substitute for achieving your goals in life. There is no substitute for accomplishing what you want most. Don't be distracted. Don't be dissuaded.